Hello guys, so the prelims exam is over. Now everybody is asking one question, what will be the cutoff? But before discussing the cutoff, let's try to understand something very important. There are no cutoff prediction which is going to be 100% accurate, and every analysis depends upon certain assumption, right? So because of that itself, instead of blindly chasing a number as the cutoff, we'll try to understand what is the available data suggest and why this year cutoff is very difficult to predict compared to the last years, and what should aspirants should do after your prelims, right? See, first of all, let's try to understand why cutoff prediction has limitation. That is when whatever I'm going to discuss is going to be of some use, right? See, any cutoff estimate that whoever is giving, it depends upon certain assumption. Assumption one is basically the student data is accurate. Like students will submit, the numbers, their marks, because if you are from an institute where significant volume of student is there, you get some data, and that is what we consider as a sample size. And within that sample size also there will be issues. So if you are making an analysis based on that sample size, some students may calculate wrongly, some can enter incorrect score also, some may even enter unrealistic mark also. So because of that itself, every database definitely requires some cleaning. So there are no data which is available which is perfect. Because of that itself, the cutoff prediction have some limitation. Secondly, UPSC official key is what now everyone is using, the provisional answer key which is released for the mark, right? But the current analysis that you are doing is based on the provisional key. Now there are doubtful questions like Mission Sudarshan Chakra and all. A few doubtful questions are there which I've already discussed. So answer key correction can happen, and some questions may be dropped also. So you might have made it correct, you might have made it wrong, and your analysis and your score is based on that also. So if that happens, your first of all, your scores can change. Again, the cutoff can vary, the ranks can change, the cutoff calculation also will change. Because of that itself, any current estimate that you make now, or I make now, or any other academy make now have uncertainty. The third assumption is the serious aspirant bias. The data set, the sample size that generally come from students who voluntarily submit the scores, right? And such students are usually more serious and more aware and more preparation oriented. They are very curious about what it is going to happen and all. Because of that itself, sample may be stronger than the actual student population. So that also create another challenge when it comes to predicting the cutoff, because the data set that you have might be of the students who have that good quality, right? So majority of them may clear also, majority of them might have scored well also, majority of them will be well above the cutoff also. So when you make a sample size and saying this is a cutoff, it can be even much more lower as well. So see, even though the paper was very difficult and unpredictable this year, but still what I've seen from my academy, from my mentees, from the data that we got, the sample size that we have collected, a substantial number of serious aspirants have managed to get decent score. Because of that itself, difficulty alone does not automatically mean an extremely low cutoff. There are other things also that we need to look at, like, for example, CSAT. CSAT definitely can change everything. See, this is the most important insight, and this is the most important point that I want to discuss. Many students are focusing only on GS, but the real game changer is CSAT. And the CSAT paper was significantly tougher than before and than what is expected. And many aspirant, even from my mentees also, who performed reasonably well in GS are struggling with CSAT and they couldn't clear CSAT. And I have seen, as per what I have understood, around 40% of the candidates and aspirants only they are clearing CSAT, out of which many may clear GS, many may not clear GS, and that is there. But only 40% is clearing CSAT. So from 100% who have given, 40% is out there itself. Now, from the 40% who cleared CSAT, their GS paper, GS score is what you need to look at. And in this 40%, there may be some people who scored lower than some people who already excluded. Some who might have scored 120 in GS. Because of that, they couldn't clear CSAT. They are not now in the list, right? So they are not in this 40%. So in that 40% only, you'll be selecting the GS candidate. So there may be people who have scored 100, 120, 140, etc. in GS, but they may not be part of this 40%. They'll not be part of the result. So that is also very significant. So what can happen? Many candidates who are scoring very well in GS may still get eliminated because of the CSAT, because firstly, you'll get that 40% who cleared CSAT. Then only you need to think about GS. So in that process of elimination itself, the first stage of elimination itself, many who scored very well in GS, like 100 plus, might have got eliminated. So that itself can bring down the cutoff very well. Now UPSC want to select that 10,000, 11,000 students somehow, right? So that's a single biggest factor which is going to affect the cutoff. Now let's try to understand what could be the cutoff. What I'm looking for is 72, but I cannot say this as an exact number. 72 plus 3 minus 3. So this is what I'm looking for. So it can be 69 to 75. My range that I'm looking for is 72 plus minus 3. That's my cutoff range, 72 plus minus 3, according to what I understood about the toughness of the paper, according to what I understood with respect to the students who cleared CSAT, according to what I understood that those students who have done considerably well in GS couldn't clear CSAT, according to my understanding about the toughness and everything. Right. So see, again, this is not a prediction or anything. This is what my analysis. This is like a statistical estimate, you can say, because see, again, there are a lot of variables within that, right? It all depends upon what the official answer key as of now. All these calculations and the marks which have told by my mentees and the students is based on what UPSC professional answer key. But I myself and my students have also challenged few questions. So, answer key might change. So this can also change. Again, CSAT outcomes, that also can change. So the sample size that I am considering, maybe within that also the changes can happen, and actual UPSC data might be entirely different than the sample which I've got. But considering the sample that I got, which is very good and decent in number, almost 2,500, because of that itself, what I understood is this, it could be around 72 plus or minus 3. So nobody should assume that this number is final. But if you are in this range, you can consider, immediately start preparing for the mains. See, very important point. Now already 1 week is over, right? And multiple discussions are going on. You have seen countless reaction videos, YouTube videos talking about cutoff. Now the question is, how long will we continue doing that? At some point of time, you have to resume your preparation. Now, how many days are there? 82 days are there. So see, you have to start your mains preparation immediately. So if you are someone who have anything above 65, though I told you 72 plus or minus 3, if you have anything above 65, you have to start, right? So 65 plus is there and you will qualify CSAT. Now you have to immediately start your mains preparation, because the answer key changes can happen. So the 65 can change. Answer questions can be dropped also. So further it can come down, right? So further back, one question which you made it wrong, if it is dropping, means the one which you made it correct will have more value. So in that case, that way also mark can increase if the question which is dropped is the one which you made as wrong, right? So scores may move further here and there. And if you're waiting for certainty, it is definitely going to be costly. So you'll have to start. But again, if you are borderline in CSAT, especially, candidates who are, 1 or 2 questions away, again, you are dependent on doubtful questions. You also should begin mains preparation, because there is a high chance that you will also clear, because the risk of losing preparation time is greater than the risk of unnecessary preparation, right? So anyway, you will have to start preparation. Now, what if you think you are not clearing? Still, you will have to prepare, because you were there in the cycle and I don't want you to lose the momentum. Anyway, you will have to prepare, right? So still, if your GS score is significantly below average, or you're not going to clear, CSAT, do self-assessment. See, that is the first step that I would say, and there is no need of any emotional reaction, no denial. Do the honest assessment, and you need to have a plan B, right? It could be any other exam, or it could be for next year. See, if you have multiple attempts have taken already, it may be a serious time to think and evaluate and do the assessment and make another plan also. So that doesn't mean you have to quit UPSC, right? It means you have to reduce this uncertainty. So what a mature aspirant, will do is he'll actually prepare for both UPSC at the same time your career security simultaneously. So there is a very important point that I want to tell you is do the analysis, right? Instead of getting obsessed with the over preparation or the cutoff. You have to analyze your subject-wise performance also. Why did you lose mark in each of these subjects, right? History, geography, environment, polity, economy, and also look at the question type analysis. Which mistakes actually hurting you? Knowledge gap, or is it over attempting, or is it under attempting, or is it a poor elimination strategy that you used, or you misinterpreted or misread or misunderstood the question? And do the comparative analysis. See, the questions where you got right but most candidates go wrong, these are your strength. Where most serious aspirants got right but you got it wrong, and this is something which you need to definitely improve. These are opportunity areas. So if you can do this analysis, it's far more useful than wasting time in unnecessary cut-off discussion at this point of time. And some of you might be mentally also disturbed. That mental recovery after prelims is also very important. See, that deserves a serious attention. Many are mentally disturbed and exhausted also, because months of preparation, it might have created anxiety, stress and uncertainty, emotional fatigue. So in that case, take a short break. Right, that means just 1 week. Go to your home, talk to your parents and family, siblings, and get fresh, and then start again. It should not be a long break. A short break, recover mentally, reset yourself, and then return with clarity and start preparing. And then don't lose momentum. Have a plan. Have a plan for the next 1.5 year till your next mains, and start preparing for mains itself as if you are going to write mains this year, and then write mains along with the mains candidates also. And then you need to again, during this time, complete your optional, complete your GS mains and write mains, and then whatever mistakes you have done, clear it, and next prelims in one go, you'll have to crack it, right? So the biggest takeaway from this prelims 2026, it's not about whether it is difficult, or it's not about whether what is going to be the cutoff and all. What I would tell you is uncertainty is part of UPSC. See, the paper was unpredictable and the answer key may change, right? Answer key, there are a lot of disputes, the cutoff is uncertain, but one thing that remain under your control, that is your next action. So if you have a realistic chance, right, as I told you, anything above 65 and you're sure about CSAT, start main preparation immediately. If you do not have that chance, analyze your mistakes, create a stronger strategy for next year, and prepare for the next phase. Have a plan B also. Because ultimately, success in UPSC is not decided by one paper. It is decided by how quickly and intelligently you respond after that paper. Right? So that's all what I want to discuss. And if you would like to join us for any mentorship program, classes, or test series, get in touch with us. See you there.